But if this is the only thing, the only big thing in my life that's important to me in business, and I'm not chasing all these rabbits and ending up with zero, and I'm just focused, I'm gonna be able to take big steps, right? Comparatively. You guys know me, there's a book. It's called Essentialism. I am a fanatic about this book. If you don't have it, I hope that you guys purchase it. It has totally changed my life, and I've talked about it a bunch with a lot of you guys. This is something in the very beginning of the book. It's a photo that I'm stealing. So shout out to Greg McKeown. And I love this. Like, I just love this so much. He says, most people, they put a millimeter of progress in a million directions. So all their efforts spread out across a lot of things, and they never really get anywhere. When in reality, we should be putting 1 million meters of progress in one direction, right? Think about it like this, man. If my pie chart is split between, let's just say I have 3 businesses on there. Well, I got way less space to cram all that stuff in. If I got 1 business, man, I mean, dude, I can sleep for 8 hours, I can spend 8 hours doing something else and still work full time on my business. But if I have 3 businesses, well, if I spend 8 hours at my business, then I can spend, I don't know what 8 divided by 3 is, but, it's like 5 or 6, no, it's 6, yeah. Nice. It's 6 hours towards each business. So think about that, right? I'm just making this example up right now, but it's the time allocation that you put towards the things that are important to you to help you get to where you want to go, right? So if I know time is such a huge important piece to what I'm doing, and it's just these simple decisions made over and over again to help me get to where I want to go, well, if I'm putting 6 hours a day towards all 3 of these things and I'm hectic and I'm stressed and I have all this stuff going on, well, I could just back off and be like, all right, this one thing can make me as much money as I want. It's around the right people, and I'm going to be able to grow an agency with a ton of leverage inside my business. Then this is the right place to be. And I just put 8 hours a day towards this. My head's super clear. It's much more simple. I'm way more focused. Well, I'm going to grow the thing way better. I can solve more problems. I can put more headspace to it. My pie chart's more filled up with that thing, right? And so I can make progress in one direction instead of a bunch, right? I'm not just like, if this direction, if I'm trying to walk close to the front of the stage here by Adrian, is real financial, and then all this stuff is all around, like there's all these other things that I could be trying to accomplish. Well, if I have all these other side things and I have those other activities and all these other things in my life that are stealing all of my headspace and my real estate in my brain, then I'm gonna move this fast, right? Super slow. But if this is the only thing, the only big thing in my life that's important to me in business, and I'm not chasing all these rabbits and ending up with zero, and I'm just focused, I'm gonna be able to take big steps, right? Comparatively. And that's a crazy difference when you're completely present and you're here and you're with it and you're in it, instead of trying to be over here, and then all of a sudden I'm over here, and then I'm back over here, and then I have no idea what's going on, and then I'm getting hit with an issue or a problem that I gotta solve, and I'm like, man, I can't even do the things that I need to because I only have this much time, and then I can't put all this effort and energy towards it. So I'm asking you guys, like, there's a lot of people that do it as a side thing at first, which is cool, but like, if you make the jump, if you take the step into it to go full time, like, really take the step, like, be all into it, because the more that you put, this is a business, it's very unique, like the more you put in, the more you get out. It's pretty cool. So there's a lot, of things we've talked about, right? And if we were to talk about, what's next, right? So I'm like, all right, I got the routine. I kind of understand, like, I need to be putting my head towards the right things. I got to spend my time around the right people. I got to be plugged in. Well, I love being around this group, so I'm going to keep showing up to this group. And I know I'm not going anywhere, and I'm playing a long game, and I'm going to keep showing up, and I'm going to keep growing, and I'm going to keep developing, and I'm going to keep on building what I want to build. Well, some next things that I could really focus on are sales, leadership, hiring, training, recruiting, organization, influence, right? These are some simple things that we'll talk about that will help you be able to accelerate your learning curve, right? I can still put the same amount of hours in, but I'm gonna grow faster because I'm doing the right things the right way. Now, the good thing about the business that we're in is that we're able to get feedback really fast, right? Well, man, I'm really good at sales, so I'm selling a lot. Man, I'm not doing that great. So like something's clearly not going right. So I need to be better, right? And the only way to get better at it is feedback and repetition. So I told you guys earlier, like my first year, I just went crazy. Like I almost sold 400 policies in like my first 9 months. And I got a lot of feedback. I did it a lot. I had a lot of repetition. And I'm not talking like, you know, I had this much AP and it was like 7 huge policies all year. Like I literally sold that many policies. Like I counted them. I went back for this and I checked. Like I've sold a lot of policies. And it's why like sometimes you guys ask me questions. I'm like, oh yeah, like you just do this, right? And sometimes people are like, you know, surprised that, you know, a couple of us might be able to speak about some of the stuff we can speak about because we've just done it so many times. I'm like, what do you mean you don't get it? But it's because I've just done it so much, you know? And it's habit. It's just like, well, of course you do that. It just is the way that it is. You can't do it any other way. You gotta overcome the objection at the end, right? And then you gotta close it and make them feel comfortable, and that's what you do, right? Well, you gotta buy leads. People are like, buy leads? It's like, I just came from a W-2 job. I never spend money on anything. Was to help grow my business. I'm like, no, you just got to do it. People are like, and I'm like, I forgot this guy. He hasn't been doing it for 2 years, right? Like, so it's like, I've done this a lot, and I'm able to do it a lot. I'm able to do it at a high level, and I'm able to teach it at a high level because I've had so much repetition and feedback. So if I want to get better at these things, I got to start trying to do these things. When I started trying to hire people, I tell a story all the time, but I recruited like 50 people in a month. And there's a couple of you guys like Anthony, Ray, a couple of you guys that were here and like a part of some meetings that we used to have. Like we really talked about recruiting a lot. Remember that? And we would talk about like building agencies and what it looked like. And I was like, I'm going to do it. Like I just went crazy. I'm trying to recruit all these people. I'm trying to get all these people into the agency. And I realized I sucked at retaining them. So they're all coming in. I'm like, Mustachio, you got to make phone calls. And they're like, how many calls? What do I have to say? Like, where do I go when this happens? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm scrambling, getting back to all these people. And I'm trying to help them, you know, do all this stuff. And I just wasn't good at it. So I learned really quickly that, man, a little bit more nuanced than I thought it was. I didn't just have to plug people into Lightspeed and cross my fingers, you know? Like I had to be there with them. I had to help them solve their problems. I had to help them get better at sales. I had to work with them side by side. Man, I'm on your team. Let's keep on growing, right? So I had to do a lot of, I had to get a lot of reps in. And you know, we've made it easier. And if you're on the leadership team, we got a process dialed in now. Everybody does the same thing. Everyone sends out the same welcome message. We get everyone plugged into the Discord right away. We have this same process where it's because it works, right? We've done it a bunch, it didn't work, and then we figure out what works. Now we're just doing what works. And it's the same thing in your business with all of these different skills that you're gonna need to get to where you wanna go, right? And so one thing that I think is really, you know, if we're going back to the picture, if you're focused on sales, like, you know, and that's what you're in right now, and you're like, I'm just going to sell, like, you're going to grow in sales, right? And then once you have that on autopilot and that's just repeating and you're just cruising and that is like your habit, your routine of doing it is so easy, boom, you go and you add on something else and your threshold to take on more increases because now it's habit. It's normal. I don't have to get, like, it used to take so much headspace for me to just dial. I was like, man, these people, I don't know if they're gonna be wanting me to call them. Like, I think the leads are broken. Like, I borrowed money from my friends, my family. I quit my job. I don't have any money. I dropped out. I'm living at a friend's house. I just took out this loan and I have these leads and I know I need to make calls, but I don't know if I feel like making the calls, you know? But as time went on, I started doing it and I got a couple sales and then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this does work. I have good feedback. I'm starting to make some money. And then I made a couple more and I'm like, okay, cool, I can do this. And then I'm like, okay, this is normal now, right? It was hard, difficult, new, and now it's normal. So something changed, right? Well, I just started to do it. I got some good feedback. I was rewarded for my efforts. So now I'm like, all right, I'm over here now. And I'm like, what else can I do? I'm like, well, I can sell instead of 1 a day, I can start selling 2 a day. I'm like, cool, that's kind of tough now. I'm starting to make more calls. I'm starting to get told no more. More people are rejecting more people are hanging up with me. And I'm like, you know, maybe I should just stick at 1. You know, there's that limiting belief trying to keep me comfortable, right? And then I'm like, no, you know what, I'm gonna keep going. For whatever reason, I wanted to keep trying to grow and progress. Started to study more, get more skilled. I started to sell 2 a day. I started to get 2 a day. I was like, man, all right, I feel pretty good, you know? I'm like, what's next, right? Like 3, 4, maybe 5 a day. What if I could do that? And every time it was like hard and I would get knocked back down and then I'd be like, nah, I'm gonna try it again. And then I would try it again and I would do it. But because I had that feedback, I was like getting told, hey, you're not good enough yet. You're not able to do that. And so the more time that I did this and the more things that I did it with, onboarding, trying to recruit, trying to lead teams. I used to not speak like this, right? I used to not be able to influence people. I used to not know how to teach people how to sell. I used to not be good in front of crowds. I used to not believe in myself the way that I do. I used to not have the skill sets that I do, but because I invest in myself, because I spent the time in it, because I've done it a bunch of times, I've failed a lot, I've gotten the feedback, right? And I kept on getting the reps. I'm starting to develop myself, starting to become a little bit more polished. We're starting to figure it out. We're starting to make it make more sense. So for you guys, if you want to go to, you know, 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month, if you want to have a big agency doing $1 million a month, whatever it is, it's like, you don't know everything you need to know yet. You're not where you need to be. You're not as skilled as you need to be. You're not all the experience, the knowledge, the skill sets that you have are getting you where you're at right now. So we gotta grow, which means that we're gonna get knocked down. We're gonna have that hardship. We're gonna have a little bit of difficulty. But you know what's crazy is the more time you spend in it, the more effort that you put towards it, the more feedback you're gonna get, the more you're gonna be able to make better decisions because you're gonna go, that doesn't work, that does, let's do more of that one. And then you're gonna keep moving down the right path and you're gonna keep progressing. And it's time. It doesn't happen overnight.
Man, if this is the video that helped you out today, I'm gonna place a couple other of my videos right here for you guys to watch. It's exactly what you're gonna need to see following today's video, guys. See you in the next one.